What will this mean for Ukraine, and what message does it send to Russia if indeed the Europeans do finally get this across the line?
If indeed, Tom, is the sort of key part of that sentence. And I think that that's what we'll be hanging on over the next sort of 10 days or so, going into next week to the European Council meeting that will be held here in Brussels, where European leaders will have to come to a consensus and potentially move on what would be the most significant contribution I think the Europeans can make to this negotiating process, to the efforts of Ukraine to defend itself against Russia that they've made over the last few months. If they are able to get this over the line, Tom, this would account basically 90 billion euros worth of funding for Ukraine over the next period of time. As you say, that goes about 2/3 of the way of covering the funding that they require for running the country and running the military, which is about 135 billion. So that would be a major step. In terms of this signaling, this would signal a couple of different things. One, that the Europeans are still sort of relevant players potentially in this conversation. This may be a way for them to earn themselves a seat at the table. Remember, they did come under pressure from the Trump administration over the last couple of weeks. We've just had that reporting out from Bloomberg that basically the Trump administration was telling them not to touch the Russian assets because the Americans wanted to use it in their own negotiations and for their own peace framework. That would change it drastically. And even if there is a peace proposal in the next couple of weeks, or if there isn't, regardless, Ukraine will require this money. But if there is a peace agreement, this completely changes the calculus in terms of the negotiating position for the Ukrainians. I mean, it's the difference between having $90 billion, or $100 billion in the bank to fund your war effort over the next 2 years. That will dramatically change the calculus of the Russians sitting across the table for them. So if indeed they're able to move forward with this plan, it would be a hugely significant development for the Ukrainians. And in fact, something that Volodymyr Zelenskiy told me a couple of weeks ago was a matter of survival for them.